Hey guys, I'm Sonnleitner, PD chain number 81120, and today I'm going to show you what I carry in my bag for the 2022 season with Discmania. Let's start off with the putting putters. I use the D-Line Flex P2 for all of my putts. It's my favorite putter of all time. They have no bead, which is very important to get a clean release for me. They hold every line I put them on, and I just feel so comfortable with this disc. I don't think I'm gonna change putters anytime soon. Next, the throwing putters. I also carry 3 P2s. I'll start off with this one. This is another D-Line Flex 2 P2. This one is kind of beat in. It's not really that understable, but when I need something to just have a tiny little flip or maybe like a touchy little approach, I'll go for this one. Next P2 I have is a Luster C-Line P2 from the 2018 run. This disc used to be crazy overstable, but it's kind of starting to beat in, and this is probably my most throwing putter at the moment. And the last one is the upcoming Sky God 4 in the C-Line plastic. This one is pretty much just as stable as that blue one was when I first got it. I can put it on a nice anhyzer line and it's almost gonna fight out. It's pretty stable, I can throw it hard and it's always gonna come back. I like it a little bit more than the blue one in the wind, and just when I need a little bit more control, I'll go for this one. And the last throwing putter in my bag is the Neo Tactic. Flight-wise, it's kind of similar to the Sky God, but it's faster and with less glide, so if I put it on a flex line, it will kind of pan out a little bit more. On hyzers, it's a little bit faster and a little bit more trustworthy. It's not quite as controllable because it has so little glide, but when I really need to use this disc, I'm happy that it's in my bag. Next, midranges. The most understable midrange I carry is the Kyle Klein Signature Series Midnight Prowl. It's an Origin. The Neo Origin was kind of too understable for me, so I switched to this one. It's very essential for all kinds of turnover shots and everything that just needs to turn forever. I highly recommend this disc to every single person out there. It doesn't need a lot of power to flip, and it's gonna fly a very long distance if you put it on the right line. The next midrange in my bag is the C-Line MB1. Out of the box, these ones are extremely straight, but this one is kind of starting to beat in a little bit, so it has just a tiny little turn, not really too much fade. Essential for all sorts of wood shots and gap hits. Now, my main mid-ranges. I carry 3 MD3s, ranging from just a tiny little bit understable to a tiny little bit overstable. The most understable one is this Iron Samurai 3. The pink ones have a really nice flat top. Feels great in the hand, and this one is very straight. Might have a little turn or a little fade, but mostly it's just gonna hold the line I put it on, and I feel very comfortable hitting gaps with this disc. Then I have a C-Line MD3. This is from the stock run. These things are pretty much dead straight. They have a tiny little finish to them, but they're just gonna hold the line you put them on. Probably my most thrown mid-range in the woods, just because I can trust it even if there's a little breeze. Very important for my game. And the last MD3, I carry an Iron Samurai 3 in the blue plastic. These ones are a little bit more domey, which makes them a lot more overstable. I can throw them hard and flat and they're gonna come back in the end. Doesn't really get too much use because I'll often go for a fairway driver instead of this one, but still very important to have in my bag for windy situations where I need to go straight. And the last mid-range I have is a Neo Mutant. You all know this disc, it's pretty much the most overstable mid-range out there. This is almost my main approach disc. It comes back out of every single anhyzer you put it on, holds hyzer lines, really just doesn't want to fly, has a lot of speed, not a lot of glide. It can fight any wind, and it's just one of my main discs, and that's for a good reason. On to my fairway drivers. I'll start with the most understable one, which is the Neo Essence. This disc is very flippy, it's in the bag pretty much for rollers only. I might throw it on like a get out of trouble shot sometimes, but this is my roller disc. For a little bit straighter shots, I have the new C-Line FD. It's pretty much dead straight, it has a tiny little turn to it, and it's just gonna hold that turn, but it's never really gonna flip over or cut into the ground or anything like that. Very important for woods golf again, because it's just gonna hold the line I put it on. and these things go so far when you throw them hard and with the right angle. It almost goes as far as my distance drivers. Onto the overstable fairway drivers. I carry an S-Line FD3. This is the Doombird 3. It's very flat, feels great in the hand. This one is kind of starting to beat in, but it's still pretty overstable. I can throw it as hard as I want. It's gonna go straight a little bit and then it's already going to want to fade. Very important for sidearm shots. I can really trust this disc. It's probably the disc I throw the most on open holes. I like to throw spike hyzers with it. It's just very controllable, very essential. Next, the splice. This is kind of like that FD3, but just a little bit more extreme. It has all the overstability you need for all sorts of wind shots and flex shots. This disc is very workable on all sorts of angles. It doesn't really go far because it's so overstable, but it still gets a lot of use, and I couldn't really play around without this disc. Next, I carry a Meta Tilt. Just for grenades only. I never throw this disc if it's not on a grenade or on some sort of crazy flex shot or anything like that. Doesn't really get too much use, and that's usually a good thing. But it's very important because you never know when you might need to get out of trouble somewhere. And the last one, it's kind of a hybrid, but I use it like a fairway driver, is the C-Line PD. It gets me almost distance driver distance, but it has the control of a fairway driver. It's pretty overstable, similar to that FD3 I just showed you, but just goes a little bit further on the same line. I throw this disc more than I thought I would when I first got it, and it's one of my favorite discs. Last but not least, the discs I love to throw most, distance drivers. The most understable one I have is the C-Line DD3 from the new factory. These things are very glidey and pretty understable. I can throw them hard and they're just gonna hold a turn. Very important for my sidearm game because my sidearm doesn't go that far yet, so very important, and I also might throw this one on a roller sometimes. My three main distance drivers are Cloudbreaker 3s. I'll start with this one. The red ones are the most understable. I can really throw this one on a nice hyzer flip and get some huge distance out of it. Very important for kind of big anhyzer shots. Might throw it on a sidearm sometimes, but for truly big distance it's almost too flippy at the moment. Then I have a yellow Cloudbreaker 3. This one feels totally different. It has way more dome, way more stability, and this one just bombs. I think that if I wanted to go as far as I can, I would probably choose this disc every single time. And the last one is the Cloudbreaker 3 in white. The white ones are easily the most overstable. They don't really turn over. They might have a tiny little turn, but they're always gonna come back. I can really trust this disc. I can throw it hard, it's gonna fly far, and I'm still gonna have a pretty good amount of control over it. And my last distance drivers, these are the discs that I throw far with when I still need some control. They're all PD2s. I'll start with this white one. It's in the glow plastic. This one is pretty understable for a PD2. It will have a tiny little turn if I throw it hard. And when I get this thing on a hyzer flip, it just holds the line forever. Very important for stable sidearm shots for me, because it doesn't quite need as much power and still fly overstable. Next, my favorite distance driver is this orange S-Line PD2. I throw this disc a lot. Doesn't really have too much turn, might have a tiny little turn, but it's always gonna want to come back. Just holds the line I put it on, handles all the power in the world, and this is usually my go-to distance driver. And the last one is this two-phase C-Line PD2. Very overstable, just a little bit over that S-Line PD2 I just showed you. This one, when I put it on a flex line, it's gonna want to come back. I might even throw it on a far grenade sometimes, or a flex shot. I really know how to work with this disc. I know this disc well. I throw it a lot, and especially when it's windy or when you just have an open shot, I highly recommend getting yourself a fast, overstable distance driver. That's all I carry in my bag for the 2022 season. Thank you.
Yeah.